And howdy out there, guys. Welcome along to 420 News, with your news host, Martin Condon. And 420 News is brought to you by Martin's World. Getting better at that intro. All right, guys, hope everybody's well out there. And it's 420, so if you're not at work and doing responsible things, maybe you might be enjoying this time in a different way. Guys, on the first piece of today's 420 News, we have Bailey the drug dog. Bailey the drug dog is kind of an infamous drug dog in the cannabis community because the poor fella has been put to nefarious uses by our guardians of the peace, the gardai. Cannabis Destined for Cork seized that mail centre with assistance from detector drug dog Bailey. So there was 4 packages that were destined for a couple of different places. One of those being Cork. The value of the packages, they say, were just over €26,000. They were labelled as yoga pants. So guys, if you know how your cannabis gets sent down to you, I hate to be to bring her bad news, but it seems like some cannabis destined for Cork City is after being seized. And it seems like not a small bit either, like €26,000 spread across 4 packages. That's not a small bit, so a bit of bad news there for somebody. But yeah, it's that poor bloody drug dog though, like, he thinks he's doing good. He's probably going to get a load of treats and everything, like, but little does he know, like, he's after ruining somebody's day out there. And in other news, guys, above in Dublin, we have a dude who was caught, a 19-year-old. He was caught with €92 worth of cannabis hidden in his boxers. So this young fella was apparently just about to sell some cannabis. He was a drug dealer. Look at him there. Look how like Pablo Escobar type he is. But yeah, he had a serious drug problem because he had been using cannabis every single day, all day, every day. He had a serious drug problem, according to the reports in the court. But this 19-year-old young fella, he was caught with 2 deals of cannabis that were valued at €92. Where did they get the €2 from? That's a bit of a strange one. Did I just say €90, like €92? Like, why go to that extra effort and leave that €2 in there? But this young fella was on his bike there last year, and I'd assume he was probably only 18 last year when he was caught doing this. So I think it was March last year that this young fella was caught. Again, just to highlight, like, a year and 2 months this young fella has been waiting for his day in court, and he finally gets it. He was caught with €92 worth of cannabis. He had to do a probation report. And upon completing that probation report, which came back quite positive, and he also undertook some anger management classes, whatever that had to do with the case, I'm not sure. But that all came back good. So what the judge did for him is he gave him a 4-month suspended sentence that was suspended for 18 months. Right, this young fella's 19. Like, he has no priors either. Like, he has no prior convictions. And now he's got a 4-month suspended sentence, and it's suspended for 18 months. So for the next 18 months, he's worried that if he sneezes or coughs there out in public and somebody makes a complaint about him, he could possibly get that 4-month sentence lashed down on top of him, and whatever else might come his way. But 19 years of age, caught with €92 worth of cannabis, and now he has a criminal conviction. And his future essentially is, it's in jeopardy. His job prospects, all of that, it's all affected by having a criminal conviction. There are some jobs out there that will ask you, have you a criminal conviction? And if you think that they're not going to pass a judgment of you that you have a criminal conviction over somebody else with maybe the same experience, everything else, except they don't have a criminal conviction, you'd be foolish to think that they're not going to judge you differently. This young fella anyway, €92 worth of cannabis and criminal conviction, 4-month suspended sentence, suspended for 18 months. So imagine that's a lot of anxiety and a lot of ill health that this young fella is going to go through over the next while. Hopefully he does get himself down into a job and maybe into a nice hobby or something like that, but €92 worth of cannabis isn't a lot either, say he's using cannabis every day, but there's many other young people out there who use cannabis every day, and the biggest problem is when they get caught with it. To be honest, it is. That's the biggest problem. Like when they get caught with it, like this young fella getting caught with it. Who's to say what might have happened? Like, I don't know where he's going with his life. But let's say he's in college or something like that. The future career prospects there just and his own viewing of himself, sees himself as a criminal. Then we shoot on over to Wexford, guys. Our Gardaí got lucky there last night over in Gorey, County Wexford. They just happened to pull in a car and 5 kilos of cannabis came their way. They smelt a bit of cannabis coming from the car and they carried out a search and it looks terrible, to be honest. Like it looks like a load of shake in the bags. Like, and if you don't know what shake is, it's like the leaves off the bud that have a bit of resin on them. It doesn't actually look like bud, but maybe it is. Maybe it's just pure. But 5 kilos, €100,000 worth. And if you 5 kilos of cannabis, that might sound like a lot, €100,000, but like just put it in perspective, like 5 bags of sugar. That's 5 kilos. That's not a lot. In terms of that, our Gardaí took it upon themselves. They now have a person in their 40s and a person in their 30s, a man and a woman in custody. We were going to go down for this, unfortunately. So, we'll come back then into Cork City, up on into Fairhill. This lovely stuff got robbed or seized last night by the Gardaí. They had a couple of edibles, but they also had €9,500 worth of cocaine there. Now keep in mind that's the value that the Gardaí put in it. But €9,500 worth of cocaine. I'm not a supporter of cocaine, but what I want to draw your attention to on the table are these guys, the edibles. They're cannabis edibles. So these have been in the media a bit lately, and they've been involved in a couple of seizures as well. And what you see at the top here are cannabis infused peach pieces, and so it's like a dried peach that's after being infused with some cannabis oil. Apparently, there's 500 milligrams of THC in that packet of peach pieces. And then underneath them, what you see are nerd ropes. So they're the nerd sweets, and apparently they're 100 milligrams of THC per packet on those. Our guard said that these are worth €250. And for once, I think they're not far off what the guys in the street are actually selling them. Like, I'd say those nerd things are probably going for €30 per pack, and I'd say that those peaches, I'd say they'd be saucy enough. I'd say they might be between €40 and €60 per pack for those peaches, because the strength in there is 500 milligrams as opposed to 100 milligrams in your nerd rope. So that's quite a step up in the dosage. I'd imagine they're worth quite a bit in street value, that is. But yeah, that was a seizure above in Fairhill last night, and they also got €2,500 worth of money, cash money. So unfortunately, bad news for somebody up there, and just means more opportunity out there for other drug dealers to kind of step up. They know the area is going to be a bit dry for the time being, so people are going to be getting a bit more desperate and looking for other types of dealers. In other news then, guys, over in the UK, I reported on this there last week, or was it maybe even Monday, on Billy Caldwell. He got his payment approved for his cannabis prescription in Northern Ireland, and I applaud that. That's great news, great step in the right direction. But what's after happening now as a result of that is we have parents of other children who also believe that the NHS should be paying for their kids' medicines, coming forward and saying, what's good for one should be good for the other. Why is it that these other parents have to go above and beyond to pay for their cannabis medicines? Some of these parents are paying, I think it's £1,400 per month just to keep their child seizure free. Now, if you're a parent, I'd imagine you know yourself that there is no price you would put, like, there's no limit on what you wouldn't do to help your child, seriously. But what we have here now is we have cannabis medicines. like it's a plant. It's an easy to procure plant and a product to take from that, like to help these kids. And there's no need for these parents to be paying €1,400, £1,400 per month for a prescription. It's ridiculous. Like, you know, there's just mass profiteering going on, and it's just it's highly corrupt what's going on. They could have just legalized and regulated cannabis a long time ago, dropped the stigma. Like the whole prohibition of cannabis, it's a nonsense. It causes much more harm than good, you know. And research could have been done then that could have really helped these vulnerable and sick people out there who need cannabis for medicinal reasons, you know, to keep seizures away. Some of these kids suffering like upwards of 200 seizures a month, going from that to having no seizures in a month just because you have access to cannabis medicine. But then every month you're faced with the prospect of not being able to fill the cost of that, like, you know, £1,400. Not every parent can just pull that out of thin air. A lot of these parents have relied on the generous donations of the public out there. They've went away, set up GoFundMes and carried out charity walks and all sorts of stuff, just to get the money that they need to get the access to the medicine to provide the care for their sick children, you know. So I'm just going to transition over here to a Twitter page. Bear with me a second. This should go smoothly, I hope. So what we're going to be looking at here, I hope now on this, yeah, it looks like it's working, is we have Karen Gray, and Karen is the mother of Murray. So he's a child who suffers with epilepsy, and she's now outside of the Scottish Parliament, I think, or maybe the Scottish Health Organisation, whatever the relevant authority might be in Scotland, campaigning to get them to pay for the medicine that her child needs. So I'll just play you this little clip that she has up here on her Twitter page from earlier. This was just from earlier this morning.
Like to ask the government if they could do the same, the Scottish government up here for Murray, and obviously Westminster for everybody else that needs it. This is Murray whenever he started using the medical cannabis to stop his seizures, and this was Murray before the medical cannabis. We're paying £1,400 a month, and other parents are paying more than this to keep their children free from seizures. And all we could ask is that the government could now step in and help us to keep our children safe. Hi guys, so I'm about to head up.
So guys, that's Karen Gray there. She's just sharing some of her story there about her situation with her child. But she's not alone in this today. There's a number of families right across the UK who are also campaigning to get their medicine prescription paid for by the NHS, because it's some of them are paying more than £1,400 per month. So I'm over here now on the End Our Pain Twitter page. So they have another video that's only up earlier today as well. So I'll just hit that play button there for yourselves.
Arrived at the Department of Health and Social Care. I'm going to ask to have a one-to-one to meet with Matt Hancock so he can respond. I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks. Just asked to see Matt Hancock and now waiting to see if she can get me an appointment. Keep you posted.
A mum from Edinburgh is taking her fight for medicinal cannabis to the Scottish Parliament today following a landmark case in Northern Ireland. Karen Gray's son Murray has severe epilepsy and takes oils that keep him seizure-free, but they cost thousands of pounds, and Karen wants the Scottish Government to pay for his prescription.
We pay £1,400 a month for Murray's medication, which is a lot of money to us, but it's really not a lot of money to the government, and they really could step in and help us.
Just setting off from home to take baby to school, and then we're heading down to Cardiff Bay today to the Senate
to make a plea to Fôn Gethin, the Health Minister for Wales. We've been now for the last few years fighting for a cannabis prescription for Bailey and many other children. We've been pulled pillar to post, and we really now need urgent help. We have found out that in Northern Ireland a family have been granted funding for their prescription. So this is what we have to do today. We feel abandoned and as if we don't exist. So really today we need help. We really need help. Please follow our pages today, Facebook and Twitter. Write a letter to your MP. It takes seconds to do. Please help us. We need to get through this.
So guys, that was a video there from the End Our Pain Twitter page. So this is all just happening today at the moment. So these parents are outside campaigning to just to get the payment for the medicine now, because they've already been approved the medicine, so they can get access to it. It's just now that the cost of that, it's just incredibly burdensome. You know, if the parents could, I'd imagine many of them would just opt to grow it in their back garden or up in a spare room in the house, because it would save them a lot of money. It would save them a hell of a lot of money, because £1,400 per month, it's crazy. It would never cost you that much money to grow the cannabis that the children are consuming for their medicine. It's just ridiculous. The only reason that it costs that much is because there's companies out there that need to make a massive amount of money to cover just all of the costs of bringing these products to market, which is ridiculous. Like, the only reason why there's such an effort to bring these products to market is because of the fucking prohibition that also drives up the price of cannabis right across the board. And it's ridiculous. If prohibition didn't exist, cannabis would be cheap as chips. You know, you can go into the shop, buy thyme, oregano, like all of these other herbs for pennies. Like, you know, the stuff is cheap. Like, if they can grow these herbs and sell them at that price, you know, why can't they do it for cannabis? It's just a plant, just like those other ones too. You know, there's no need for any parent to have to go out and walk, you know, to go on campaign, fight, you know, there's no need for it any longer. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's just inhumane. You know, the government, they talk about caring for our public health and everything and tell you wear your mask. But where's the compassion here now? Like, for these patients who you know, like a lot of them young children, you know, their future is robbed because they just can't get access to a medicine because these guys want to just continue their war on drugs and this silly prohibition of cannabis. It's just ridiculous. It breaks my heart. Like, every time I see stuff like this, like, it just doesn't need to happen, you know. I went through 4 years of college, done an honours degree in herbal science, and I would gladly give more time to carry out research to help and produce the evidence that's needed to show that this medicine works in the way in which that they're saying that it does. You know, our policymakers are saying that there's not enough evidence and all of this, but when we look into it, again, it's a topic I covered there last week. The figures show that, like, there's an overwhelming sway, like, in the direction of studies to show harms of cannabis as opposed to the studies to show the benefits. So I think that the number, like, in 2018 there was 70 million in grants giving out for cannabis studies to show the harms against cannabis, where there was only they didn't even exceed $10 million in studies to show the therapeutic benefits of cannabis. Now, there was other studies that were carried out that would have brought that figure up, that were looking at cannabinoid therapeutics, but that's a bit more pharmaceutical based, whereas the numbers, looking at the plant, just the natural plant, like, let's take away from the pharmaceutical side, it's almost 10 to 1. Like, they're 10 times more interested in finding harms and demonizing the cannabis plant in order to keep it away from people, in order to keep it away from our health practitioners, the professionals, you know, and then they do what in turn? They keep it on our streets in the hands of the criminals, where patients have to go and get it from dealers, you know. They go to the dark web and order it to their house, and then the drug dog Bailey comes along and seizes it. You know, like, how do they know that cannabis that was seized above in Dublin wasn't destined for some patient down here in Cork, who hasn't been able to get access to the medical cannabis access program that we have in here in Ireland. That's a complete joke, because no patients have gotten access through it to date. Every patient in Ireland that has medical cannabis got it through the ministerial exemption. You know, they had to get their consultant or their GP to apply through the Minister for Health to get it. And guys, just to repeat this as well, in case any patients are out there listening now and you're curious about whether cannabis will be good for you or not, and if other medications aren't satisfactory in alleviating the symptoms of whatever condition it is that you're suffering with, a doctor, a GP can apply to the minister for an exemption to give you access to medical cannabis. Any GP can do this. Like, they're lying to you when they say a consultant needs to do it. Like, I know there's other patients out there that didn't have approval by their consultant, and their GP was able to apply, you know. So your GP push them on it. Like, don't take no for an answer. If your medication isn't satisfactory in alleviating the symptoms of your condition, then you need to have a rational conversation with these health practitioners, the GPs, whoever it is that you're dealing with, your pain consultants, if you have one, about getting you access to medicinal cannabis. And also in them taking part in the conversation and maybe being a bit more proactive and educating themselves as to how other countries do it. The way they do it in America is great, and you know, it's something that could be maybe replicated in some ways here in Ireland, where we could set up maybe patient collectives where we could have growers that would grow for patients. You know, it's all registered, all above board. It's not for profit at all. There's no profit involved in it. And we get this medication to the patients at a very low cost, you know. And maybe we could work with the universities in turn and start getting the patients to be reporting back to them, so we can carry out like scientific studies and start gathering the data that you say you need to prove that this stuff works, you know. So until that happens, we're going to have parents, you know, of children who suffer with multiple seizures daily, campaigning just to get access to the cannabis. In the UK, they have a bit of a better system. As I said, that they can get it through their pharmacies over there, whereas in Ireland, our patients still have to leave the country. I know that's changed now recently because of the whole coronavirus, but who's to say in a couple of months or whenever, hopefully, if this bloody coronavirus thing goes away, that they're not going to make these patients start travelling again. I haven't heard anything to the contrary yet, but you know, they're still getting it from the couriers, as far as I know. I don't think they're getting it through their chemists here in Ireland. So it's just so backwards. A chemist can't, in one country, can't send a product to a chemist in another country just because of the nature of the product. It's just a joke. You know, it really is. But meanwhile, it's grand for some courier, some just random dude driving a van. He can come along and drop the medical cannabis to the door for the patients. That's just so backwards, like, guys. And seriously, maybe these guys are eating too many edibles above there. So guys, that's it for me today, and that's the end of the 420 news. And just going to quickly have a quick flick over there to the comments, see how everybody's doing out there. And yeah, so Ken has to say, how did they find it in these jocks? Missed the start, surely they didn't strip search him. I think the young fella, he cycled away from him, and I think he might have pulled him out for when they kind of took chase and caught him afterwards. Maybe he just kind of gave it to him. Not too sure. It doesn't say whether he was strip searched or not. But yeah, it's not a nice experience to be strip searched. Definitely experienced that once. Don't want to experience it again myself. Ronan, they're waiting for government patients to come in so they make the bulk in tax and profits. Yeah, I just don't know about the government patients. Yeah, the government patents. The government patents to come in so they can make a bulk on tax and profits. Possibly there's a lot of people out there, man, who think that they're just waiting to make money off of this. For me, I don't want them to be making money off of this. I want them to be able to just produce it in a nice environmentally friendly way and a nice efficient way and at a cost effective way, and that doesn't burden patients like with all of these massive costs. Like, there's no need for it. Like, And anybody who's gonna like let patients suffer just so that they can kick the can down the road until they're best lined up to make money, like geez, like I don't know how those people would sleep at night, like if that's actually how they carried them and with themselves, like, you know. God bless the children in this country that suffer over criminalisation, needless suffering. Yeah, can't agree with you there, but needless suffering by more ways than one. Patient suffering out there, young people getting strip searched. You know, it's just a double-edged sword there, by where yeah, there's nobody benefiting from it. Only the prohibitionists and the criminals. They're the biggest benefactors of prohibition. More than a mortgage, disgusting. Yeah, more than a mortgage. Dead right, man. Yeah, it is more than a mortgage. And yeah, there's been one recorded death ever from cannabis use, and that was a vape. Yeah, I'm not too sure even whether that was the cannabis that caused it. Like, wasn't there that vitamin E or vitamin E acetate that was supposedly causing the respiratory issues in the lungs over there? But again, maybe you're on about a different story. I'm not too aware what you're on about there, Ronan. But nice one again. Yeah. Oh, the lads are commenting to each other there now. I'm going to be reading theirs. Yeah, we have Dave there as well. There's no financial incentive for the doctors to recommend this. Yeah, I know, but there's no financial incentive, like, but you would think like that it would take a bit more than financial incentive to motivate a person to want to alleviate a person's symptoms of a condition, or whether it be chronic pain or life-threatening seizures. You know, it's like if you got into being a doctor just to make money, you're a bad doctor. I know to do it, like there's good money in it for them, like, but you would want to hope that that's not the motivating factor. Jeez, you'd want to hope that they're in there to help people. Yeah, pity chronic pain isn't included in that too. I read about it a few months ago. It was in the America Dave. Yeah, the boys commenting to each other again. It's hard to see when they're replying to each other. Absolutely, but just alcohol, prescription medicine, tobacco, and they'll wait until they can patent and tax it. It's horrible. Yeah. Guys, I think that's all the comments that are there. Only fresher ones coming in there now at the moment. So thanks very much again, guys, for tuning in, and I hope you've enjoyed this installment of 420 News. I'll be back with you again with another episode on Friday at 4:20. You'll catch it on the Facebook page. I'll upload it again afterwards to the YouTube, Instagram, and I'll link it through the Reddit and the Twitter accounts then as well afterwards, guys. But if you want to catch it live, if you want to interact, get over onto that Facebook page and check it out next week. Also, if you haven't yet already, hit that subscribe button over on YouTube and hit that like, follow button on those other social media platforms there as well, as you wouldn't mind. And guys, get your questions into me as well if you want me to answer anything you might have, or if there's any particular topics you want me to cover. Or even if you want to just share your stories with me, if you're willing to come on and have a conversation, I'm more than willing to facilitate that there for more people to share their stories. So guys, thanks very much again, and I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday evening, and I catch you Friday. Peace.